This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com.
I'm your co-host, Scott Criscuolo. We're in November, which means we're going to rebook Montreal. No, we're not. We did that already. Nobody wants to do that anymore. We've had enough of that. Let's bring in my guy, as always, the Thunder from Down Under, Mr. Dave Hall. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Scott. It is always a pleasure to be talking with you again, and I'm excited. I'm excited for today. We've been on a bit of a journey, and I'm excited to bring it to a completion. I think it's going to be a good day today.
I agree with you 100%. For those that have been, if you're new to the show, I've been doing this a lot lately because this is, as Dave mentioned, this is the first time that we've done a multi-part series. Usually our episodes are single shots. You can pick us up anytime. If you are new to the show, I think this is our 48th or 49th episode, I think it's 49th episode.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for 4 years, Dave. Isn't that awesome?
I know, it's so good.
Crazy. Great run we've had, and we're not done. But this is the first time we've done all the episodes before, I guess, August. Right? July, August, September. No, before July. We're all single shots. You could find any episode of Through the Looking Glass, listen to it, and you're not going to miss anything before, or you don't have to wait for anything after. We'd love for you to listen to all of them. So if you're brand new to the show, welcome. It's great to have you. You can keep listening. Well, for this one, you might want to go back to July because this is a multi-part. But go back to any episode we've done. We've booked, we've rebooked pay-per-views. We booked guys. We've done obituaries. We've done a lot of great fun stuff. But this, of course, is this is part 4 of a 4-part series that started in July. We did part 1 in July. Then we took a detour in August to do a kind of an obit tribute to the legendary Hulk Hogan. Check that show out. Dave and I did we rebooked an alternate universe DVD set. It's actually pretty cool, Dave. That was one of my favorite episodes we've done. Then we got back and we did parts 2 and 3 in September and October. So what we're doing is, of course, we are rebooking 2003 in an alternate universe. WWE. Of course, July we did part 1, which was Royal Rumble, No Way Out, and WrestleMania. Part 2 back in September, we did Backlash, Judgment Day, and Bad Blood. And then part 3 last month, we did Vengeance, SummerSlam, and Unforgiven. So go back to July. If you're listening, if you're a brand new listener and this is your first show, welcome. Pause this one. Go back to July and listen to part 1, and then listen to parts 2 and 3 in from September and October last month before you do this one. So tonight we will conclude, as Dave mentioned. So we will rebook No Mercy, Survivor Series, and Armageddon. And if you are a huge Evolution fan, like myself, you might be a little disappointed because Evolution, the Armageddon pay-per-view is probably not going to go the way that we had it in the Prime Universe. Maybe a little bit. Okay, so let's do a quick recap of the last 3 shows. We're not going to go all the way back to the beginning. So last month, we did Vengeance, which was still a SmackDown show. The brands have not changed. And the pay-per-views, that was something we definitely didn't do, Dave. Was that a rule we did in the beginning where the SmackDown shows stayed SmackDown shows, the Raw shows stayed Raw shows? Yeah. We kind of kept that, right?
We kept that in, yeah.
Okay. That's pretty easy. Why mess with that? That's stupid. So Vengeance, which was a SmackDown show, we had Rey Mysterio versus Jamie Noble versus Chavo Guerrero for the Cruiserweight title. Rey wins. The Basham Brothers against the APA. Basham's won. Undertaker versus Nathan Jones. Yes, we had him all the way to July. Well, he was there. He was there anyway. We just used him more. Taker won. Eddie Guerrero beat Scott Steiner in the U.S. title tournament final instead of instead of Chris Benoit to win the tournament. Kevin Nash against the Big Show. Big Show won by DQ. Tajiri versus Matt Hardy 2.0. Matt Hardy won. Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit versus Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas, world's greatest tag team. Kurt and Benoit won. And Brock Lesnar versus John Cena for the WWE title, which Brock won. Then at SummerSlam, we had a pre-show match. Guerreros versus the Bashams for the tag title. Rey Mysterio versus Jamie Noble for the Cruiserweight title. Rey retains. Trish Stratus versus Molly Holly for the women's match, for the women's title. Chris Jericho was the guest referee. We were keeping that little romance going. Big Show versus Kevin Nash in a hair versus hair match because Kevin Nash is getting his hair cut. We didn't put him in the chamber. Did we even have a chamber? Booker T versus Rob Van Dam. Booker wins when Orton and Flair interfere. Little arrangement going on there. Christian versus Shawn Michaels for the Intercontinental title. Shawn wins by countout. Undertaker versus John Cena. Cena wins by cheating. Goldberg pins Triple H in 3 minutes in a glorified squash to win the World Heavyweight Championship, which definitely should have happened in the Prime Universe. And in the main event, we moved up the September 18th, 2003 SmackDown Iron Man match to SummerSlam. Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle for the WWE title, and Kurt wins. Then we did Unforgiven, which was Raw only. Orton versus Rob Van Dam. RVD wins clean. Trish and Kane versus Chris Jericho and Victoria. Kane pins Jericho and Jericho stops doing something because of Trish. Christian versus Shawn in a ladder match for the Intercontinental title. Christian wins. The Dudleys versus La Resistance for the tag titles. La Resistance won. So in our universe, instead of them winning it in June, they won it in September. Dustin Rhodes versus Ric Flair in a Texas bull rope match. So we don't have Goldust. Listen to the last episode to explain to hear us explain how we got out of Goldust and into the natural. Gold in the natural. Molly versus Gail Kim for the women's title. And Goldberg versus Booker T for the world title, which Goldberg wins clean. Incidentally, Dave Hall, before we continue, as the day we are recording, I just was reminded, thinking of Ric Flair and Texas bull rope matches. We need to have a moment as we lost, honestly, the voice of a generation, depending on where you grew up. I know Sean Kidd was probably sad today, the big Crockett guy that he is. At the age of 95, we lost Bob Caudle today, the day that we're recording, Sunday. 95 years old. Of course, he was the main voice of Jim Crockett Promotions in the NWA in the mid to late 80s, before Tony Schiavone kind of got his feet under him. And then, of course, after they bought Mid-South, Jim Ross came in and Caudle kind of got squeezed out, in like 89, 90. Yeah. Then he did some, I don't know if he did he do? I think he did Smokey, right? With Cornette?
I think he did some Smokey, yeah, before JR popped over there as well.
Yeah, so rest in peace to Bob Caudle. We're not doing a Bob Caudle episode. It's not much to do. But we will say a moment. We will say a moment because I loved Bob Caudle, voice of Crockett with Tony back in the day, and he was the guy. He was one of the voices of Jim Crockett Promotions, and his voice reminds me of those early Starcades that helped make my childhood and yours as well, Dave. All right, so let us forge ahead. And let us start booking No Mercy. Now, No Mercy is a SmackDown pay-per-view. We'll keep it where it was. It was in – we're not changing cities. That's stupid. No. There's no point in doing that. So we will remain in Baltimore for No Mercy. Baltimore was always a SmackDown city anyway. Like, they had like 4 No Way Outs there, I think, and like a bunch of other – like, that was like a SmackDown town, was Baltimore. I think there have been multiple – over the course of the brand split, I think multiple – pay-per-views and big SmackDowns were at the arena down in Baltimore. All right, so Kurt Angle is our champion. He won the Iron Man match against Brock Lesnar. So where do we go from here, do you think, with Kurt Angle?
I guess the question is, do we keep the title on Kurt? Or does he lose it before we get to this event? I'd like to think that having returned from his injury and the performance he put on at SummerSlam, I think it's only fair to give Kurt a little bit of a run with the title. I think it's a feel-good moment.
Yeah, I agree.
But I do think we probably need to shift him away from Brock. They've had the Iron Man match. Brock turned heel in process, and while Brock would be gunning for a rematch, it doesn't necessarily have to happen at No Mercy. We might be able to come up with something else. What I'd like to see happen is I'd like to keep a match that was at No Mercy. That was an outstanding match. And I think you put the title in there and it really is going to add some real spice to this match. And that is Kurt Angle versus John Cena. It was an outstanding match. John Cena's on the path to become a babyface. So I think this would be a great opportunity for the two to tear the house down, for John Cena to just not quite get there. Like, you could have them go back and forth, maybe even have John Cena get a visual in at some point with the ref down, but Kurt gets the win in the end. But maybe, the crowd have at this point, and I think it would be the same in our universe, the crowd have taken to John Cena. They are starting to cheer him. They are starting to get behind him. And so while he's still a heel, perhaps at the end of the match, Kurt Angle could actually offer the handshake of respect at the end of the match. And Cena doesn't want to do it, but sort of you could get the crowd, you could sense the crowd swell. And John Cena, maybe against his character at the time, accepts the handshake. And it's almost like an acceptance that John Cena has moved to the next level, and we are ready to turn him into someone the crowd can actually get behind and support. So that's what I think. I think you can just build that up as the rematch. And Kurt, I think Brock could be out. Brock wants the rematch, and Kurt goes, "No, we did the Iron Man match. It was most number of falls. I've beaten you. John Cena's our next challenger." I mean, we had John Cena beat Undertaker at SummerSlam.
Right.
We could retro that a little bit, not necessarily on the SummerSlam thing, but John Cena can be coming out going, "I beat the Undertaker. I'm the number one contender. I should be the number one contender."
Right. Yeah, I like that. I like that idea. I think we can take advantage of so much talent that we have on SmackDown. We can kind of balance it around. We're definitely pushing Cena much faster than. That's one thing we're definitely doing in our universe here in the alternate universe. Incidentally, Dave just gave me a little side note. Pop a bottle of champagne, everybody. This is episode 50 of Through the Looking Glass. Our 50th episode. Can you believe it, Dave Hall? 50 episodes.
When we started, I would never have thought we would have got this far, but it's been a great journey and loving.
It's been an awesome journy. Yes, it's been awesome, because for years and years, you're an OG, Dave. I know I'm going off the path for a minute, but I think I've done we've done ensemble shows, you and I together, but you and I never did. And you're an OG. You go back, and you and I never did a show together, like a real show. I think you and I have been together. You've guested on our show with JR and I, and we've done, like I said, we've done like ensemble things, probably Christmas specials and all that kind of stuff. But this is the first show you and I have ever done together, and I can't believe we have not run out of ideas.
Not yet.
Not yet. We don't want to. No, we don't want people dying so we can have obit episodes. No, we don't want too many obit episodes. But anyway, Dave, always a pleasure. It's awesome, and we're going to keep going. So anyway, just wanted to say that. Yeah, I like the fact. See, I think what we're doing here. I think one of the things that we're doing here is that we're trying to really stretch out. That's one of the main reasons Dave and I are doing this series. And I think we're going to do this again. Maybe we'll pick another year in 2026 and do another 4-part series or less, depending on what year there's pay-per-views. If we do like a Crockett year, if we do a Crockett year, we may only have a couple of parts. It depends. Anyway, what we're trying to do, one of the things that Dave and I are trying to accomplish in this alternate universe is really use the roster. I just watched one of my chrono watches, Dave. Right now I'm in February of 2004. So I have 2003 very fresh in my mind. And I'm like, Taker was feuding with the FBI for half the year. And I'm like, what the frick is this? Why is The Undertaker feuding with Nunzio. What? It was a colossal waste of space. So I think having somebody like a John Cena can push a guy like Taker, because I felt like that last year before Taker, of course, and we're going to have to talk about that tonight, Dave, about Taker and, the biker gimmick and the leaving and, that thing. We'll have to get into that. We're really trying to expand the roster. And one of the things that we're definitely doing is really pushing Cena much sooner than the Prime Universe did. The Prime Universe, he really, really got the push in like November when he turned face right before Survivor Series. And of course, we'll talk about that. We'll work on that show in a little bit. But you and I have really kind of backed it up and had Cena really starting to get up the ladder, late spring into the summer. And I think,
we.
And anyway, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was just saying, and I think that's a good thing for him, and it's a good thing for the roster of SmackDown. I love this idea completely. Go ahead, your thought.
No, I was going to say, I think we recognized that he was the heel character that he had was in a position to be used, and we were wanting to utilize some of these younger guys at the time who weren't maybe used as well as they could have been, taking the opportunity, knowing what potential they have and where their careers go. You have the opportunity to just get the wheels behind them a little bit earlier without necessarily derailing future plans. So I think we've worked it well, giving John Cena a real good heel run, which we know the crowd would have been getting behind him as this character was developed and fleshed out. So
right.
I think it sets it up well that when he turns, and we'll talk about this in the little bit later in this episode if he does turn babyface for us, but when he turns, he's gonna have that massive groundswell behind him.
Absolutely. And I feel like we're utilizing Kurt a little bit more. We're not really ignoring Brock, but I feel like we were put in I feel like the Prime Universe was kind of put in a conundrum at the end of 03 when we had to make Hardcore Holly a main eventer. We're certainly not doing that.
No.
So I think this is a perfect opportunity for the WWE title to have like a fresh look, and Cena could be like, well, I couldn't beat Brock, maybe I'll beat you, and Cena just keeps getting opportunity after opportunity that he's earning, and it's making him legit. It's not like it was at, say, Backlash when Cena won some tournament, and then we all knew he was not going to lose to Brock. He's not going to beat Brock. So, so this is a good spot for Kurt, and it's a good spot for Cena to keep building his credibility, because we'll see what happens. Maybe we still go the same path for Cena as he did in the Prime Universe. But having him and Kurt main event for the WWE title makes him look better, makes Kurt look good because he'll make Cena look good. And I think that match, I mean, I don't want to say we're looking at, him and Benoit from the Rumble back in January. That match is like 5 stars. I don't know if it'll be 5 stars, but I think he'll definitely put Cena through his paces to where I think will be elevated to a good 3.5, 4-star match.
Oh, absolutely. So, I think you could run the potential of a 4-star minimum here.
Right. Okay. Number 2. Where do you want to go through next? What about Brock?
Well, I think, we've got to work out what we're going to do with Brock. So I think we need to play his story a little bit. So let's look at his story. He's just turned heel in coming out of the SummerSlam match, or in the process of the SummerSlam match. He didn't, Kurt was able to overcome him. Brock turns heel. And obviously between SummerSlam and No Mercy, there's probably been a couple of TV rematches. I think one of the things I'd like to propose is, I think if we want to look at Brock's character, one of the things I think that it was very evident Brock missed it. Like from an in-ring perspective, Brock always worked better as a heel. Just
Yeah,
his
absolutely.
ruthlessness, his power. That's why I think they needed to turn him back heel.
I
But
agree.
Brock has always been very, very poor on the mic. And when Brock works best is when he's had someone else talking for him.
Correct.
So I'd like to throw out, and I know they only separated in the timeline we're talking about 12 months earlier, but I'd like to propose that perhaps as part of turning heel, there's a reconciliation that occurs with Paul Heyman. Not so much the manager role, but the advocate role. We get the advent of Brock Lesnar being the advocate or the spokesman. Paul Heyman being the advocate or the spokesman for Brock, because we just know that partnership and that relationship works so well. And I think that as part of that, Paul can put some things around Brock to help elevate this heel gimmick, that this heel character turn that he's gone back to. So I think in that, then that creates the scenario where Paul Heyman can become the person who baits people into a match or draws people in to get into that conflict with Brock, and Brock can just focus on being a killer in the ring. So I'd like to suggest that, perhaps over that course, like after, he loses at SummerSlam, maybe you have on SmackDown, you just happen to have it all happens sort of behind the scenes. You see Brock Lesnar's dressing room, and maybe the first or second SmackDown after there's they're trying to get an interview with him in the dressing room. Knock knock knock. Old Mean Gene style. No one's. We know he's in there. But he's not opening the door for anyone. We're hoping to get an interview with him today to find out what his plans are, where he's going, why he did some of the things he did in the SummerSlam match, and all that. And then maybe on one of the segments, you could have the interviewer interviewing someone else nearby the dressing room door. It's still in the background because he's wanting to get the talk. And just in the background, you see Paul Heyman sneak into the room. The announcer doesn't see it, or the TV announcer, like Michael Cole and Taz, might go, hang on, did I just see someone go into the room? But it doesn't get played out. And then the next week, you could have Brock trying to arrange a match with Stephanie, but Stephanie's not willing to go for it. And then later in the show, we hear that the rematch has been announced. And Cole and Taz are asking what's happened here. Stephanie said she wasn't going to grant the rematch. Now she has. Can't work out what's going on. And then when it's time for, like, the following week, maybe it's the rematch on television against Kurt the following week, is the ring, the music starts, or the music doesn't even start. They're about to do the introductions, and Paul Heyman just comes storming out of the back, and Cole and Taz, we haven't seen Heyman in months. What's he doing here? Why is he coming out? And he gets on the mic and announces the fact that he is here to introduce. He's been advocating for Brock, and then you move into that storyline of Paul being the advocate for Brock. Brock obviously, being the heel, I think he would lose that match by DQ. He'd just go absolutely nuts and be beating him down with chairs and all sorts of stuff. And perhaps a save is made by whoever he ends up facing at No Mercy, and you can begin that build. And looking at the card, I'm going to throw out the argument. The one match we have not done this entire year is Brock and Undertaker. And I know they faced each other at No Mercy in real life, and not trying to just harp on there, but I wonder if perhaps what our card looks like at the moment, if Undertaker is really the only legitimate person to put up against this newly turned heel Brock Lesnar.
I like the manipulating of Stephanie. I like that. And he does eventually, even in the Prime universe, he's working with. He ends up being with Heyman, and when Heyman becomes GM, we're just kind of also we're pushing that up a little bit.
But when he's GM, it's more Heyman being the heel GM rather than Heyman and Brock being truly reunited.
Right.
And I think this allows you to get Brock off the microphone.
That too. Yeah, I'm all game for that. So the match we have is Brock Lesnar and Undertaker. Obviously the two had those epic matches in 2002. I mean, the match at Unforgiven 02 was fine. The match at No Mercy 02 is one of the all-time greats. It's on my top 100 list. So we keep the Taker Brock match, except this time we don't bother with the biker chain and Vince running in and all that kind of crap. No,
I wouldn't have Vince running. What I would suggest what you could do with this match is I like like I said, this idea of building some things around Brock to make him that heel. And this is where you could have Heyman bringing in some people to help Brock. And in real timeline, they use guys like Nathan Jones and Matt Morgan.
Yeah, a bunch of meatheads.
But maybe someone we could throw into the mix as from a helping side of things to actually bring some allegiance earlier than this. Like maybe they start allying with Paul Heyman as well, and it's through Heyman that it happens. Is maybe look at using the Bashams in that sort of role, where instead of them being these, managed by Shaniqua and being these like sex fiends and, TNA sort of TNA being the tits and ass bondage sort of guys.
Right.
If they're brought in almost like hitmen, bodyguards, sort of like we had them in a dark match a couple of months ago. They were in a dark match at SummerSlam, and maybe they could be hooked up with Heyman as a manager, but they're in more of a tough guy sort of role that, very similar to what I guess they end up doing for JBL in the cabinet, where they become like a little bit of a bodyguard sort of thing, but then they're around a bit more. And so during this match, Undertaker's getting on top and we just get the schmoz. They run in and we get a DQ finish. Undertaker wins by DQ because they've attacked, and it allows you to set up some form of rematch with Brock at Survivor Series. Maybe at the Survivor Series, you get a rematch where it's going to be a casket match or something where you can, as you said, we know that Undertaker may be getting away from the biker gimmick very shortly. And I think it would be a better option would be to have him put over the newly turned Lesnar rather than utilizing Vince, which I hate. So
I agree.
So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking in this match, Undertaker is, Brock is gaining control, and the only way Brock can win is we've got to go to chair. Like he loses it to the point where he just starts going crazy with chairs, and the Bashams come in as well, and it's just a 3-on-1 beatdown. And every time they think they've got him down, even though he's in the biker getup, Undertaker does I'm just picturing like Undertaker does a sit up, like
Yeah.
Dead man style, and the
Yep.
crowd would pick up on it.
And maybe that's something we investigate. Perhaps instead of off camera, maybe on camera, we start seeing the metamorphosis. Maybe on camera instead of off camera. I think that would be actually kind of cool.
Well, I know I'm sort of jumping into I know we're jumping in, but I guess that's part of long-term story planning. That could be coming out of the match, coming out of the event. That becomes the thing. Taker comes out and goes, "You've unleashed something. You do not know what you have unleashed. There's been something inside me for years that I've been holding down, and you've unleashed it.
Right.
And death is coming, and as a result, Undertaker challenges Brock to a match that we haven't seen for a while, because that part of the Undertaker had pushed that part of his character aside, but you've broken the chains and you can't hold it back anymore. And he challenges Brock to a casket match. He's still like a Taker, but we're getting the early onset of Dead Man coming.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think that'd be fascinating for us to see the metamorphosis in front of our eyes, from the biker to the dead man, rather than just disappear and then come back. I actually kind of dig that. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of dig that. All right, so we have Brock Lesnar versus the Undertaker. Undertaker wins by DQ when the Bashams interfere, and and we see the beginnings of the Taker remetamorphosizing into the dead man gimmick. So, and we'll continue to document that as we get through the end of the year. Okay, next, let's look at the United States Championship, which Eddie Guerrero won back at Vengeance at the end of the tournament. Except in the Prime universe, he beat Chris Benoit. In our universe, he beat Scott Steiner. Let's see. He wrestled on the pre-show. We're still continuing the Chavo Eddie many belts storyline.
Yes,
so
we've been building this storyline in a good way, where Eddie has 2 titles and he's regularly defending both titles. And I think that's something we want on this show. I think we want Eddie defending both belts on this event. He's going to defend the United States title, and he's going to defend the tag titles on the same night. And I've got more to say about that in a moment. So, this is sort of this woven storyline. We're going to have multi elements to it. So when we're working out who he faces in the US Championship match, we're also recognizing that he has a tag title defense as well. And I think we would want the US title match on first. I think it goes on earlier in the night, because I think where this storyline is going to go, we're putting the emphasis on the fact that Eddie is overworking himself and putting the tag team in jeopardy, because he keeps accepting singles matches as well. So, yes. So, yeah, I guess the question is, who would be a worthy challenger? Who do we want to see in the US title match against Eddie Guerrero? I don't want to just replicate the No Mercy 2003 card that actually happened.
No.
I'm not a big fan of that. Now the question we could ask is, we've done a lot of good work with Scott Steiner. Scott Steiner could be in that rematch, or maybe this is where we look to tear the house down, and Eddie and Benoit have their have their match for the US title?
Yeah, I could definitely go with that. I think it's a great match. It was a banger in the Prime universe 2 months earlier, or 3 months earlier. I could definitely, and as an opener, it'll be a banger. Now, since we are, the storyline is that Chavo's getting irritated that Eddie's not holding the tag team end of the bargain. So do we have Eddie win this match, or
I think Eddie. I think what I'd like to do, where I could see this going, is Eddie comes out on his own, and he and Benoit are having an absolute barnstormer of a match. And at some point in the match, perhaps the ref goes down. The ref gets in the way. Ref accidentally gets knocked down, and Eddie and Benoit are both flat on the mat, like one of those three-way collisions sort of things. So the ref's down. Eddie and Benoit are both down, and Chavo comes running out to assist Eddie, and he looks to grab, cheat to win. He looks to grab a belt, or he looks to grab a chair, and he slides it into the ring, and he's, come on, Eddie, it's over there. And Eddie sort of groggily gets up and sees it and makes a decision for whatever reason. He's sort of like, he hesitates. What are you doing? Why have you done that? And it allows Benoit to actually grab it and use it. And so Chavo's attempt to help Eddie backfires. It appears completely accidental. And Eddie can be a little annoyed. I had the match in hand. What were you doing? And maybe even you've had a couple of cheating elements earlier, and so Eddie's sort of like, why did you come out? I didn't need you. And Chavo can just be, I was trying to help. I was just trying to help you. Family motto, cheat to win. I was there for you. We're a team. And I didn't want you to lose that title, and I'm sorry, and Chavo lays it on thick, and Eddie's like, yeah, no worries. Look, I got you. I get it. It's okay. Let's focus on our tag title match.
Yeah, that works for me, because I think we got to keep the we got to keep that storyline going. So now Eddie gets in a conundrum. Is he pissed off at his nephew for costing him his singles title, or does he go with Chavo's emotions and go, yeah, I know, all right, you screwed up, not a big deal. I'll get the belt back somehow, and we're still tag team champions. So
I'm going to make a slight change though. I don't think it should be the opener. I don't want it as the opener, because there's another element.
I get it. You don't want Eddie to have too much. You also don't want to have Eddie to have too much of a break.
No, I want a short break, because I want Eddie to be because he gets wasted. Like, Benoit has cheated. Benoit's taken him out with a belt or a chair. So perhaps Eddie's been busted open as well.
Right. Yep.
So you want that. He's going into the tag match with a clear, evident, something that carries over from the US title match. So, he takes a chair shot to the head and he's busted open. So he comes out for the tag title match with blood still half over his face, and maybe staggering because he's still,
he's all taped up. Yeah.
Yeah. A little bit concussed and all that. But there's another element, I think, for my opening match, because Eddie, we've been playing this story. Eddie's got 2 belts, and they've got the tag titles, and Eddie's held the singles title, and Chavo is clearly jealous. We know, the audience knows Chavo is jealous. Chavo's telling Eddie that he's not. But because Chavo wants to show that he can do everything that Eddie can do, I think the opening match should be Chavo has actually, on the weeks leading up to No Mercy, has issued the challenge to Rey Mysterio for the Cruiserweight title. And so Chavo is actually going to do 2 matches as well because he wants to show everyone that he's just as good as Eddie. He wants to show Eddie that he's just as good as Eddie. But he also wants 2 titles. And so your opening match is actually Rey versus Chavo for the Cruiserweight title. But unfortunately, Chavo's not good enough. Rey just wins clean. And that then also lends into when Chavo's interfering, he's also saying the thing, I didn't want you to lose this title because you had the 2 titles. I didn't win mine, and I didn't want you to lose yours.
Right. I like the fact that we have. I think we're doing a really nice job here of utilizing the truly best talent on SmackDown, because the fact that like Eddie and Chavo are having multiple belts, and it's kind of crazy actually how we've done this, but
and in the sorry, you finish.
No, I was gonna say, and obviously the frustration is if Eddie can have a title match, why can't I have a title match? So Chavo goes after their friend Rey, and Chavo's like, why are you challenging our friend? He goes, no, I'm not. We're gonna no lying, cheating, stealing. I promise. It's gonna be good.
It's all friendly.
Yeah, good,
exactly.
Clean cruiserweight wrestling. No lying, cheating, stealing. I promise.
And of course, as the match goes, Chavo starts cheating initially in the fun way, but then we start to get the heel tendencies just underlying. He's getting frustrated, and so he starts treating in a bit more of a heelish way, not the fun way the Guerreros have done it. And at the end of the match, he loses clean, and he's frustrated. And maybe Rey goes to shake his hand, and Chavo just sort of shoves him aside. And the commentators all just sort of go, oh, he's disappointed. He's clearly disappointed that he's lost, but that there's more to it here.
Yeah. And, maybe he picks up a steel chair and you're thinking, whoa, the Guerreros don't go that far. They use trickery and sleight of hand to cheat and steal. They don't actually, crush somebody with something or, So even Cole and Taz can be like, whoa, Chavo, what are you doing, man? That's not how the Guerreros do it. You guys do like little tomfoolery and stuff, not like crush a guy's skulls with a chair. What's the matter with you? So even the announcers can kind of lay into it and go, wow, Chavo's not, he's, deceiving the ref and having a little fun to get an edge is one thing, but we're not here to actually, he promised Eddie and that kind of thing. And, and then even Eddie after the match can be like, Chavo, are you okay in there? He goes, nah, I'm sorry. I had a weak moment, but I wasn't going to do it. I promise. I swear I wasn't going to do it. Ray was out hustling me, and I just got frustrated. There was never any intention I was going to hit him with the chair. And we kind of go with that. Eddie goes, okay, that's cool. I get it. And we go with it. So in the beginning, it's just typical good psychological storytelling where, the audience goes, all right, Chavo was just, he's getting frustrated, and he for a moment, he had a moment of weakness, but he's like, no, I can't do this. No, I'm not, that's not fair. If Ray beats me clean, Ray beats me clean. I can't fault him for that. So I think that's a good storytelling. So we just set those 2 matches up. So Ray Chavo for the Cruiserweight belt, and then Eddie and Benoit for the U.S. title, and Benoit actually wins. So Chris Benoit is your United States champion. So we have those 2 matches set. Oh, sorry.
And that obviously leads us to the third match for these two.
Yes,
these 2 guys, which is a tag title match. We're going to Eddie and Chavo are defending the tag titles at this pay-per-view. So we're gonna be having a tag title match. And looking at the tag roster and just some of the things I proposed earlier, I'm wondering if the Basham brothers have allied themselves with Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar, whether it might actually be the way to go to have the Basham brothers as the challengers for the tag titles.
Yes, the Bashams, because the Bashams, in the Prime universe, the Bashams end up beating Ray and or Eddie and Chavo, on the I even have it memorized. I think the October 23rd SmackDown. So I think the episode after this show, the Bashams end up winning it anyway. So do we have a change here?
Yeah,
Are they both frustrated and both, Eddie's beat up, Chavo's pissed off, and they're off their game, and the Bashams beat them? Pretty much the way it was in real life.
Yeah, I think what happens is Eddie's struggling. Like he's come out hurt. He's like we said, he's taped up, his blood on his face. He's clearly been partially concussed, and Eddie plays into it, and they do everything they can, but Eddie and the Basham brothers, with Paul Heyman at ringside with them, they are not inclined to. It doesn't worry them to break some rules and to cheat, and so in the end, maybe they even grab another chair, and Chavo comes in, and Chavo's trying to help, and with the referee distracted by Chavo, the Bashams clock Eddie in the head with the chair again, and Eddie is out. And the Bashams get the pin. They pin Eddie, and Chavo. The frustration grows for Chavo. Eddie lost his tag title because Eddie wanted to have two matches. And so the frustration continues to build for Chavo. Chavo doesn't turn on him yet, but he could be in the ring. Like the Bashams leave with the titles, they're celebrating in the aisle, and Chavo's, kneeling over Eddie, like giving him a bit of a verbal. What happened? What's going on here? You just lost us the titles, and Eddie can be, he hit, staggering. He hit me with a chair. Look, there's blood still everywhere, and eventually Chavo sort of, okay, and he helps Eddie up, and he helps him to the back, and the crowd are cheering because Chavo hasn't turned heel, but it's coming.
Right. Yeah, it's absolutely coming. Yep. No, I like that. That's good. So the Guerrero family is frustrated all night, and they wrestle 3 matches, and they lose 3 matches. So, yeah, I like that idea. Yeah, there's frustration there, and the build continues. Now in the Prime universe, it got overboard. It bubbled over in January because obviously in the real world, Eddie and Chavo faced each other at the Royal Rumble. We'll see as we continue on tonight. We'll see if we decide to do that or if we do it a little earlier. All right, so we got we're working on an 8-match card, so we're 5 matches in. 1, 2, 3, yeah. I think we've covered every belt, so we have those all covered. Let's see who's next on the hit parade. What do we do about Big Show? He wins this feud with Kevin Nash. What do we do next?
There's a good question. What is this an opportunity? As we know, and we're looking at guys that have come in, they might not have been used correctly. Let me throw out an idea, and I'm trying to think of someone who did make an appearance at around this time period, came on the show, and I've heard a lot of positive things about the work that he did elsewhere and about the work that he was doing in OVW, but I don't think he was ever booked correctly in WWE on SmackDown, and that's Matt Morgan. Big Show versus Matt Morgan. Matt Morgan could come in. He's a big guy. Apparently, he was very athletic. If you listen to Jim Cornette, talk about Matt Morgan in OVW. He was very high on Matt Morgan. He thought Matt Morgan was an excellent worker. And then they brought him into the main roster and they gave him a stuttering gimmick and they really just didn't get behind him. But maybe Matt Morgan could have come in sort of after SummerSlam as that sort of, he's a big guy, bit of a blue chipper. We're trying to, this guy has potential, and maybe Big Show just, here's the target. Like, you think you're a big guy? You need to, if you want to prove you're a big guy, you've got to take me in the ring. You've got to meet me.
Right.
And so you've got this. This is almost like a prove yourself to me. You think you're good enough to be on this roster? You've got to prove yourself to me. I'm the Big Show. I'm the biggest man on this roster. And while Matt Morgan's not as big as the Big Show, he was a big guy. You can run that idea of Big Show at looking at this rookie big guy trying to make an example of him.
I like that because we're picking the right horse, because it was evident in the Prime universe, and we can back that up here in our universe, that Nathan Jones just was never going to fly.
No.
I don't think he was ever going to truly understand the business. He was not very mobile. I don't think he was ever going to truly grasp even the basics of a up and down match. So in terms of the those guys, those young big dudes, I think obviously the better option was Matt Morgan, and I think he was more wrestling ready of those two guys. I think Vince took a look at Matt Morgan and said, or took a look at both of them and said, my God, look at all that physique. But Nathan Jones just was so big. He really just didn't have that something to even survive the business. And it was evident because he pretty much, and he also didn't have the ethics for it, because instead of quitting, he decided to just wait till the Australia tour and then he wouldn't have to travel. That was pretty shitty.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that Matt Morgan is a better choice. And I think Big Show's a good guy to work with him. Would we? I think he'd be a sympathetic face. Is that where you're kind of going here?
Yeah. I think that you're presenting him in that rookie style role. Not rookie as in he's only just learned how to wrestle, but he's new to the roster. He just wants to prove himself. He's got guts. He's got size, and he's happy to be there. He wants to prove himself. And maybe in a couple of, in the build, like he maybe part of it when he joins the roster, one of the first guys he beats is Nathan Jones. He beats him clean, he beats him quick, he beats him easy. And then maybe he beats the A-Train. So he starts beating these big guys. They're not little guys, and the Big Show has taken notice of that. And so it's sort of like Matt Morgan's like, yeah, I've done it. I've got another win under my belt, and then the Big Show's like, you could have this back. They could be doing a backstage promo after he gets his second or third win. It's very, very typical baby face, but I think if you do it well, it doesn't turn the crowd off. But it's that, I went out there tonight, I beat A-Train. Look, I'm just trying to, each match as it comes. They're all the cliches. Each match as it comes, I'm just trying to prove myself. And the Big Show walks into frame and towers over him and is like, you're trying to prove yourself. You want to prove yourself? You prove yourself against me. And just shoves him aside. And so you can build that story there. And then maybe the following week, Matt Morgan is beating someone else. and Big Show just comes out and attacks him.
Sure.
And, choke slam, bang, and it's sort of like, and so, then like over the next couple of weeks, Matt Morgan, now there's fire. You don't know, you attacked me, Big Show. You're just you're nothing but a big bully, and I'm going to get in there and show you that, you might think you're the biggest guy here, but I'm big enough to match up to you. I'm big enough to take you down, and so you build the story that way.
Yep, perfect. Matt Morgan's a guy Matt Morgan's a guy that SmackDown could use in 2004. When their roster gets a little depleted in the draft in 2004. So he's a guy that, you have a kind of a good, fresh baby face. And
now in his this being his first pay-per-view appearance, but also the fact that he's up against a guy who's quite high up on the roster, is it too much to expect that Matt Morgan actually gets the win? Is this the sort of match where Matt Morgan puts on a good show, the crowd are going to respect him, but Big Show gets the victory in the end?
I would say yes. I feel like because then you're kind of wasted the Kevin Nash wins just so he could lose to a younger guy. I think Big Show should kind of stay a face.
He's a heel.
He's a heel, and he gets, but Matt Morgan puts him through his paces. He gets a choke slam, and maybe he does the whole Andre heel, choke with the strap, his one strap, and he gets a ton of respect from the crowd, and then Big Show could, cheap shot him or something. And keep the feud going.
Maybe the Big Show has taken the turnbuckle pad off, and so rams Morgan into the exposed turnbuckle, and then bang, choke slam, and he's out. And but you can continue, and maybe even afterwards gives him maybe he picks him up, takes him out, and choke slams him through a table or something like that, or into choke slams him, throws him into the barricade or something, like just sort of a bit of extracurricular activity. And where this could go is obviously Morgan and Big Show could be on opposing teams at Survivor Series.
Exactly.
And that's where maybe Matt Morgan gets payback.
Yep. I was just thinking that. Yep.
All right.
All right. So we have Matt Morgan and the Big Show. Let's see.
So I'm looking at where we've got. I think what we could be considering here is we've been very, very big on trying to keep that cruiserweight division pushed strong. So I think we need a second cruiser match, and there's also the potential for a second tag team match.
I agree. How about? Well, I think we need to have Charlie Haas and Shelton on. So I think we should do World's Greatest Tag Team.
Mm-hmm.
And
do we put them against the APA? The APA are pretty well the only face team I think we've almost got left. The other option would be the FBI. And I don't know.
If we do the FBI, that's a double heel thing. I don't know if we could. Yeah. I like the APA. Didn't we do that at Vengeance, though? Or who did the APA wrestle at Vengeance?
They didn't.
Oh, no,
they lost to the Bashams. They lost to the Bashams.
That's right. No, that's right. World's Greatest Tag Team fought Kurt and Benoit. Okay. Yeah, I like Shelton Charlie in the APA. I like that idea.
Yeah.
And then how about a number one contenders? Yeah, how about a number one contenders? Like a Tajiri, Noble, Kidman kind of thing.
Yep.
Matt Hardy.
Well, what if we did do a four-way? I mean, we've had, if you look at the past, we've had Jamie Noble was in the title match at SummerSlam. But at Vengeance, we had Matt Hardy got a win over Tajiri. So Jamie Noble's lost a couple. So maybe you could look at Matt Hardy, Tajiri, and Kidman in a three-way match for number one contender for the cruiserweight title.
Yeah.
And we've steered pretty clear of the multi-man matches most of the years, so I don't think it'd be a problem to throw one out here.
No, not at all. And I mean, Ray is the champion, so we need a number one contender. I think it's a good. It'll be a great match. That I know we're not going to have a problem with. I know it's going to be a banger. That won't be a problem.
And maybe this is where we've steered clear of this journey so far, but maybe this is where we let Tajiri get his win back over Matt Hardy from before SummerSlam, and Tajiri gets the win and goes on to become the number one contender for the cruiserweight title.
Sure. Yeah, I'm totally good with that.
And he's turned heel, like he's full blown heel now. So I think we had him. He was still a baby face earlier, so that's part of this journey. He's turned heel. He's more vicious, more aggressive. Using
he's got Akio. He has Akio and Sakota, his muscle. Yeah, I'm good with that. Jimmy Wang Yang.
Yeah. Yeah, and that as a result, Tajiri will become the number one contender for the cruiserweight title.
Yeah, and then that's something we could work at. I mean, they could work on it either on the show or on SmackDown itself, or maybe a match at No Way Out that we're not booking, or or Survivor Series if we don't have enough guys. All right, so there is your No Mercy card from Baltimore. Let's get a quick look at it again. I'm excited about Survivor Series, by the way. I have some good ideas. So here is our No Mercy. Oh, my screen just blinked. Hold on. Here is my No Mercy, our No Mercy card. Of course, now my screen just pooped out. Give it a second. I love the fact that we're going to keep the cruiserweights hot. We have to keep them hot because that's like a big belt for SmackDown. It's kind of their personal for SmackDown. It's really stretching out the roster that I said earlier. You and I really need. We really could take advantage of in a positive way. And that's why we have so many of them on here. So our No Mercy SmackDown show is Rey Mysterio versus Chavo Guerrero for the Cruiserweight title. Rey wins clean. Big Show versus Matt Morgan. Big Show wins, but had to cheat to do it. And Matt Morgan gets some respect from the crowd. Good start for him. Eddie Guerrero versus Chris Benoit for the U.S. title. Benoit wins when Chavo tries to help out and screws up. World's Greatest Tag Team versus the APA. A number one contender's triple threat for the Cruiserweight title. Matt Hardy versus Tajiri versus Billy Kidman. Tajiri wins with the Mist. Akio and Sakota come out at the end of the match. We have our little triangle. The Guerreros versus the Bashams. Excuse me, for the tag titles. The Bashams win after hitting Eddie with another chair and pinning him. Chavo clearly frustrated. Both guys were all gassed up anyway. Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman against The Undertaker. Undertaker wins by DQ when the Bashams interfere, who are now Brock's bodyguards. Taker sits up as we get our first taste of maybe a metamorphosis. And in the main event, Kurt Angle successfully defends the WWE Championship against John Cena. I like that card. It's certainly better than the real one. The real No Mercy card was an absolute pile of crap. So
actually, the real No Mercy card wasn't that bad. I've just reviewed it recently with Matt Farrell on the Ruthless podcast show.
There we go.
And it was surprised. There was some. The problem is there was some very very bad stuff on there that we've avoided. But the good on that show was quite good. So, yeah.
Right. All right. So now, I like the fact. The best thing I've liked about us about our series, Dave, is that we've gotten one of everything. We've had two. Well, before the brand split, we had two smaller shows and then a big show. Big show. But the last two episodes, we've gotten one of each. We've gotten a one Raw show, one SmackDown show, and one Big Four. So on our first episode, we had the Rumble. On our second episode, we had WrestleMania. Well, technically, we had both at the first one. So actually, part one, we had two. Part two, we had zero.
Yeah.
And sorry about that. I just realized that. But at least the last two parts, well, I guess the last part, we had one of each. And we're kind of having similar to that now. So now, out of No Mercy, we have the final big show, again, no pun intended, of the calendar year, and that is live from the American Airlines Center, as Steve Austin called it, in Dallas, Texas, and that is Survivor Series. Now, as we kind of look at the situation, obviously things look a little different. We've got Goldberg is our champion, which he was. We'll start with Raw first before we get to Survivor Series, before we get to SmackDown. Well, let's do SmackDown first, actually, because it's fresh in our minds, because No Mercy is finished. So Kurt Angle's still your champion. My question to you is, in the Prime universe, Brock was champion, and he was in a Survivor match. Do we put Kurt in a Survivor match, or do we have him defend the title?
I don't necessarily have a problem with him being in a Survivor match, because we've already laid out that we want Brock and Undertaker facing off in a casket match. And so that's a big stakes match. And I think that realistically, with those two in a match, unless you were going to do a rematch between Kurt and Cena, I'm not sure we genuinely have a legitimate a legitimate guy that Kurt could be facing at Survivor Series. And I think this is where, Kurt could be the captain of one of the Survivor Series teams, and maybe the Big Show is the other captain, because the Big Show is sort of the next cab off the rank. And then that plays into the storyline we were talking about earlier with Matt Morgan, where that can have an impact on the outcome of that match. So
right.
I think Kurt needs to be, I think that's probably the way to go. Is I don't think we've really got a big enough world title match up our sleeve anymore with Brock and Undertaker in a casket match. I think that sort of means, plus what we're probably going to be doing with Raw will completely overshadow anything that Kurt is doing. That would become like the third main event. And I think at that point, you're really using him in a different way.
Gotcha. Okay. So my question is, Brock, we have Brock and Undertaker in a casket match. Is that our main event?
I don't know if it's our main event. I guess it depends on what we do with Raw. And that we'll come to. I think we can come to the structure shortly.
Yeah, let's make the matches, and then we can lay. Yeah, let's make the matches first, and then we'll figure out the order. So we have Brock and Taker in a casket match. I think that match will be great. it's a storyline we've never really touched, or it's a gimmick that those two guys never did. I don't think Brock and Taker did a casket match. Maybe
No,
later
I
on
don't
when
think
Brock
they
came.
did.
I don't think so. I don't think when Brock came back in 2012 and they had their little run. What was it, 2015 or 16? I'm trying to remember because I was at the SummerSlam where Taker did that funny laugh.
Yep.
Yeah, I was there for that. So that was what, 20? I think that was 2015. All right. So,
and I think as we may as well finish off talking about that. I think this is, as I said, in the build-up, you get we talked about Undertaker basically saying you've unleashed something, but he still comes to the ring as Biker Taker, and through the match, he's still wrestling as Biker Taker, but you just get every now and then little callbacks to the dead man. Like he does the sit up at one point. Maybe he even hits the tombstone on Brock as one of the near falls to try and get him in the casket.
Maybe we get an eye roll. Maybe we get an eye roll.
You get the eye roll. You get a few little bits and pieces, but I think in the end we don't get the return of the dead man yet. And I think what you can essentially do here is you can actually have Brock beat Taker in the casket match with the help of his minions, with the help of the Bashams. But it's that symbolic. This is the burial. Not burial as in Undertaker looks bad and gets no offense, but burial of the biker gimmick. By going in the casket and closing the casket, the biker gimmick is dead. The next time we see the Undertaker, he has returned as the dead man. And the commentators, Matt, and that's the sort of thing that Cole and Taz could be saying. He's just killed the Undertaker. He's just buried the Undertaker. Brock, who can stop Brock now? Can anyone stop Brock? Which then allows us to start our build to the Goldberg storyline in the new year. Right. Which I think that's where that could go, where you can start the build of Brock is. Can anyone stop Brock? He might not be champion, but he seems to be unbeatable now with Heyman by his side and the Bashams as backup, and he's beaten the Undertaker now. He just seems unstoppable. And on Raw, you've got this unstoppable champion in Goldberg, seeming on a tear as well. And maybe at some point during Survivor Series, these two actually, early in the show, we get a cross-path interview, like either Goldberg's been interviewed or Brock's been interviewed, and the other one walks into shot, and you just get a stare down. You don't get maybe they're staring each other down, and maybe it's Heyman, Paul Heyman and Brock were being interviewed, and Paul Heyman's talking about the match against the Undertaker and all that, and no one can stop Brock Lesnar. He's unstoppable. He's unbeatable. And then the camera pans, they both stop talking and look, and the camera pans back, and Goldberg has walked into shot, and he's just staring daggers at Brock, and Brock's staring back, but Heyman sort of puts his arm around Brock and sort of, come on, Brock, let's go. Let's go now, Brock. And Heyman pulls Brock away, so that's all it needs to be.
Yeah. Yep. And that story could keep, in a weird way, that story could keep going, but it does kind of flip the script finally for Taker and his re-evolving back into his main character. So yeah.
So that's our. There's one of the matches from the SmackDown side of things. So now we're looking at this SmackDown Survivor Series match that we're developing here. So, or at least one match. We may want to do a second one. We can talk about that in a minute. But we've got Kurt Angle as a captain, and I'm thinking with who's on the roster, I'm thinking the Big Show probably ends up being the other captain, just because there's no one else of a real upper card level that would lead the team.
Right.
So Kurt Angle's a captain. Matt Morgan's one of his team members. And I think where we've been going, I think we do what they did in the Real Prime storyline. John Cena turns babyface, and John Cena's on the team with Kurt Angle as well.
Right. Yeah, I like that idea. And you've got like this good young team of guys. So you got Angle, Morgan, Cena. Now, is Benoit a heel? Because you did mention him using a chair in the match at No Mercy, but
I think Benoit's been a babyface for us. Benoit teamed with Kurt back at Vengeance. I think using the chair at No Mercy was just the fact that Chavo slid it into the ring for Eddie to use, and Benoit just got his hands on it first.
okay, yeah, okay,
And it's that idea of you'll cheat to win. I'm just taking a leaf out of your book. Like I think the crowd will be behind Benoit no matter what. Like I think at this point, Benoit, the crowd are behind him. I don't think they would turn on him in the like that storyline, because we were talking like Eddie is reluctant to go that far. Like you've got that element where there's respect. Maybe that No Mercy match, Eddie and Benoit actually shake hands before the match starts. Like they reach out, they shake hands as they go to shake hands. Eddie does a cheap shot, like the whole cheat to win, and he looks at him and gives him the smirk, like, yeah, that's just who I am,
right.
and it goes from there. So I would say Benoit would also be on Angle's team.
Uh-huh. Okay, so good team: Kurt, Matt Morgan, John Cena. Just 4 guys, or do we need 5?
I'm not sure. Let's have a look if we can find some people to team with the
I mean,
Big
do we
Show.
do we stick some cruisers? How about like
Well,
maybe like Kidman?
well, the question could be, I'm wondering if we could consider doing a semi cruiser division match, because that's where you could have Eddie and Chavo could be together in another match that's primarily cruiserweights, and
Right.
the Eddie Chavo storyline could continue there, or Eddie and Chavo defend the tag title. Well, no, have a tag team match, but I think the Eddie Chavo storyline needs to be developed, and so there's probably going to be cruiserweights involved in some other match. I think I'd keep this one more the heavies.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think I think Big Show, one of his team members would be Scott Steiner, because we've built Scott up, and Steiner's a heel for us.
Okay. So,
or even Scott could even be the captain of the team.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
And Scott on TV, Scott is sort of, he's the one who's been having a couple of shots at the world title with Kurt Angle. It might not be a match we put on pay-per-view, but it's a match that it's with Big Show and Undertaker doing their thing and John Cena being turned babyface. It's Scott Steiner who's getting the TV, the SmackDown feud against Kurt Angle. Like he's getting a world title match, and as a result, he captains the team at Survivor Series.
Okay. Yeah, I'm okay with that. That works for me.
So we've got Scott Steiner, we've got Big Show. Do we put the Bashams in here? The Basham brothers are major players in our storyline with Brock and Paul Heyman. Do we put the Bashams into this match?
Well, we need bodies. So, I think that's a good idea. So Basham's, Steiner, Big Show. Yeah,
Do we go 4
I think
on 4?
four
Or do we
guys
want
is
5
fine.
on 4? 4 guys.
I think
is
4 on
fine.
4 is fine. Yeah, because if we're gonna make the cruisers, if we're gonna put the cruisers somewhere else,
Yeah.
if we're gonna put the cruisers somewhere else, then there's no need. I don't think there's really anybody left. What about like a Billy Gunn? Have we done anything with him?
No, we haven't
hurt?
been.
He's not hurt, right?
I don't think so.
We just really haven't used him.
No, we haven't really used him.
All right.
And we've also got, and I'll note, we used him, and we may as well put him on the card. We have got Nathan Jones on the roster. He could be on. You could make it a 5-way, and you could have Nathan Jones, because I'm thinking you need a couple of bodies that can be beaten by other guys, so that it's not complete domination one way or the other. So yeah, you could have Nathan Jones on the heel team, and we need a 5th guy. Maybe Billy Gunn is on the babyface team.
Uh-huh.
And so, yeah, there's your match. And I think the way I'd play it out is, you could have, I think this is the sort of thing where you can get rid of Nathan Jones very easy. Like Kurt could just, no, maybe even this is where you let John Cena as the new babyface. John Cena just bang, he takes Nathan Jones out almost instantly. And so Nathan Jones is out of the match. Then, then maybe Big Show or Scott Steiner eliminates Billy Gunn. And you could have then maybe Scott Steiner maybe beats Chris Benoit, or maybe Scott Steiner and Benoit end up I don't know. I'm just trying to work out where this goes. Where I'm thinking this match ends is I'm thinking Matt Morgan at some point in the match, he beats the Big Show.
Uh-huh.
He actually eliminates the Big Show, to the shock of everyone, including the Big Show. So I think that you're going to be in a situation where perhaps your final, and then I'm looking at this team. This is just a stacked, loaded babyface team: Kurt Angle, John Cena, Chris Benoit. I'm wondering if maybe through the course of the match, both the Basham boys get eliminated as well. Benoit gets one, whatever, and then maybe Scott Steiner, after Matt Morgan eliminates Big Show, Scott Steiner eliminates Matt Morgan, but Kurt gets the final win over Scott Steiner, and it's Kurt, John Cena, and Chris Benoit as your survivors.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think that again, it's a great match to have, to elevate somebody young, and I think it's the best part of SmackDown at the moment is so much youth that can be elevated. This is a perfect match to do it. So, and Matt Morgan, I feel like, is a guy we're going to be using often if we were continuing in, if we were continuing in, into 2004, which we're not, but somebody that we could really, push as a upper mid carder, in 2004, and Matt Morgan's a guy that we could do that with. So I like that. I like that. Cena beats Jones straight away. I like that. Bashams and Gunn get eliminated by whoever. Doesn't matter who. Matt Morgan pins Big Show. Steiner then pins Morgan, but Matt Morgan gives Steiner a run for his money. Angle then gets Steiner to, well, maybe he pins him. I doubt he'll have him tap out to the ankle lock. He might snap his ankle in real life. So Kurt Angle, John Cena, and Chris Benoit are our survivors.
Yeah.
I like that.
So I'm thinking then, we mentioned the cruiserweights. I reckon it'd be really fun to have a cruiserweight survivor match. If it's possible. I mean, let's think about this. You can have Ray would be your captain because he's the cruiserweight champion. You've got Eddie and Chavo. You've got Billy Kidman. Could be one team. And on the other team, you've got Tajiri, who is your number one contender, so he can be the heel captain. You just mentioned that was it Akio and who just joined him? Who was
Sakota. Akio and Sakota.
Akio and Sakota. So they could team up with him. You've got Matt Hardy and you've got Jamie Noble. And then you just need one more babyface cruiserweight. I'm just trying to think of who else was on the roster. I mean, this is where you could put in like even just a Funaki.
Yeah.
And so this is where you can just go speed. You can go all out. You don't promote it necessarily as a cruiserweight match to start with, but Eddie and Chavo, or maybe, sort of Ray approaches Eddie and Chavo to be on his team at Survivor Series. And that's, in the weeks leading up, he asked them to help him against Tajiri, Akio and Sakota. And then it fills out Matt Hardy. It just becomes, here's all these cruiserweights. This match is going to be fast-paced. It's going to be action-packed. But where I see this match going, where I think the big key in this match is this is where you can do the turn. This is where you could do the turn on Eddie by Chavo.
Oh yeah, sure.
So they do they try to do a couple of double team moves early on. They're working fine, and Eddie and Chavo, maybe they work together and they eliminate Sakota or Akio. Then maybe you get a move or two where they try to do the double team, or they're trying to do a cheat to win element, and it doesn't quite work, but they catch themselves. So Chavo's holding Matt Hardy for a cheat moment. Eddie's going to hit him with the belt, and Matt Hardy moves, but Eddie stops. He doesn't actually hit Chavo. Like they stop just in time. So you just get a couple of these teasers through the match, but then later in the match, Chavo lays Eddie out. Like he absolutely lays him out to be pinned, and Chavo walks away. And he's doing the whole, I'm done. It's all, you want it, you want the glory, it's all on you. And Chavo walks away. And Ray could be maybe you get down to the point. So it's, you eliminate Funaki and Kidman earlier in the match, and maybe you eliminate, you get it down to the point where maybe it's Ray, Eddie, and Chavo versus Tajiri, Matt Hardy, Jamie Noble left. Like you set it up so it's still pretty even. And Chavo lays Eddie out, and Chavo walks away, and Eddie, Ray's sort of like, what's just happened? What have you done? The heels are even surprised, and Tajiri goes to make the cover, and maybe Eddie just kicks out. Like at 2 9/10, just kicks out, and the crowd go nuts, and Eddie and Ray start to fight back, and they do everything. But maybe in the end, I think Tajiri can pin Ray, and eliminate Ray, and so maybe it's down to Eddie and Tajiri, and they're battling away, and Chavo runs out again, and Chavo hits Eddie in the back with a chair, or does something to to allow Tajiri to spray the mist in Eddie's face, and Tajiri comes away as the sole survivor.
Right, which sets up, Tajiri Ray for the Cruiser title.
Mm.
I'm going to assume on an episode of SmackDown, because their next pay-per-view is not until February. So, yeah, I think that's great. I think you're going to see a lot of athleticism. You're going to see a lot of the storyline. The Chavo Eddie thing, we're really fleshing out. Obviously, what we're doing is we're making it a little bit earlier than it eventually just happened. Although, at this time in late 2003, they really are starting to flesh that out. Even in October, obviously, it came to a head in the turn of the new year. So I like that. I like that. And it's funny, we actually fit we added more guys than the Prime Universe did, but we actually got what's going to be a third Survivor match. This is Survivor Series after all. So here we are. We have our SmackDown Survivor match. We have a Cruiserweight Survivor match, which is mostly SmackDown. In fact, I think it's all SmackDown, really. So we have two SmackDowns. Yeah. We have Brock and Taker in the casket match. We're not sure where we'll put that yet. So next up, we have the Raw Survivor match.
Well, before we can do the Raw Survivor match, I think we need to work out what our Raw main event will be, because people who aren't involved in the main event will end up being in a Survivor match.
That's true. All right, so let's talk about this then. So Goldberg is still our World Heavyweight Champion. Triple H has not gotten his rematch back from losing at SummerSlam, because Goldberg fought Booker T at Unforgiven. Do we assume at this point then, Dave, that Triple H asked for his rematch on Raw at some point since Unforgiven?
I think that would have happened with the amount of time. That probably would have been your big, around the time that the No Mercy pay-per-view happens, you do the big build Raw main event week, where the big rematch happens there. Goldberg versus Triple H, big rematch, which Goldberg retains his title.
I agree. I think that's a good spot. So then here's the question. So what do we do with
So I have a suggestion for our main event. It's something that I've been sitting on for a couple of months. Whether we do it or not is a different thing. But I'm wondering if this is where it was on the year before. I'm wondering if you throw the Elimination Chamber back into the mix here, and you have the Raw main event be an Elimination Chamber match, which allows you to put pretty well the majority of your top end guys all in that match. So you could have Goldberg in there, you can have Booker in there, you can have Rob Van Dam and Triple H. So there's the four guys that have been hovering around our world title, and then you could put in there Shawn, and you could put in someone like Chris Jericho, and that becomes your big end match, which Goldberg retains. That's one option. A second option to throw out there, we could advance the use of certain gimmicks in the company, and maybe you put on the first ever War Games in WWE with Evolution as one team, because you've got I'm pretty certain Batista is back by now, isn't he? When
Yeah,
does
he is.
Batista return? Yeah. So you
October,
could have,
because he gets the bounty.
yes.
So
So you could have Evolution on one side, and you could have Goldberg form a team on the other side.
okay.
Or the third option is you could just do a title match of some sort.
Well, if we don't have a bona fide opponent for Goldberg, I would have no problem with him captaining a War Games team, and maybe in our universe we don't really need any title matches. Let's just make it an old school Survivor Series. So how about a heel team, a babyface team captained by Goldberg, and a heel team captained by Triple H?
I think the heel team would be. It needs to be Evolution at least. You might have an additional
Evolution and Booker T, because remember Booker's been getting help from them.
Yes.
So Evolution and Booker T against Goldberg.
Sean would have
RVD.
to be on the team.
Who's that?
Sean.
Goldberg, Sean, RVD. Oh my God, this babyface team will be fun.
Dustin Rhodes needs to be in there. We've built Dustin back up, and that's a War Games. Like, there's a War Games.
What about Jericho?
Oh yes, because we've started that change.
Right. So we'll say that the Goldberg team needs a guy. We'll say Christian, because I want to put Christian in an Intercontinental title match, because I don't want him we don't have room for him on the heel team. So
no.
So Christian tells him, what are you doing? Why are you don't Goldberg? Well, it'd be funny if Goldberg asked Jericho for help. That would be comical in the Prime universe. But
I think maybe Jericho comes in as the untrust. They don't trust him. That he's named as part of the team, but none of the four are willing to. They don't 100% trust him. Will he actually? Maybe work
Trish. Maybe Trish. Here's the wild card. Trish goes up to them and says, I think you guys should use Chris. I think he'll be a valuable asset to your team. And Goldberg looks at her and are you crazy?
But before we've obviously since Unforgiven, where Jericho was he was a heel, but we had that whole element where he wouldn't do something to Trish. So in the couple of weeks after that, you have to have backstage segments between Trish and Jericho, and you can see Jericho is very kind to Trish and is very soft-hearted towards her, and you could even do the whole, maybe like we talked about, you're doing the whole bet with Christian sort of. I think we talked about where that laid the foundation for it. But Jericho actually starts wrestling some heels on Raw to prove to Trish that she can trust him, and so Trish is seeing that Jericho wins. He wins clean. He's not cheating. He's earning Trish's trust. But everyone else on the roster, all these other baby faces, still don't trust. They don't trust that Jericho is legit here. They still think he's playing games. He's untrustworthy. You can't do it. And like you said, Christian could even be getting in his it looks like he's still a tweener. Like he's wrestling some heels, but he still talks to Christian backstage. And Christian is sort of, is asking, what are you doing? And Jericho was saying, I'm just trying to impress Trish. And Christian might be going, oh, of course, thinking back to you're doing the bet, whereas Jericho is actually, his heart is turning. And so in the process of trying to prove himself to Trish, he earns her trust. And then in the build up to Survivor Series, we can come back to where you're going. Trish starts vouching for him.
Right. And I think Goldberg, and RVD and these guys, they all look at Trish and go, really? And Trish is like, come on, guys. I don't want to steer you wrong, but I think he's a guy. He'll be very valuable, and he'll help your team. He'll put your team over the top, and I vouch for him. And they're all looking, like it's like this whole skit. They're in the back, and Goldberg and RVD, and they're all looking at you. And even Shawn, and like Trish is like, come on, Shawn. You're in it, she can even tap into Shawn's wanting of faith because they wrestled each other earlier in the year. You go all the way back to WrestleMania in Seattle. We kept that match in there.
Yeah.
And she looks at Shawn. Shawn, I know what happened. I think Chris is changed even from back when you two fought at WrestleMania. I think he's changed. And Shawn's like, Trish, I know I'm a different man than I was, 5-6 years ago, but it's Chris. When things don't go his way, he just drops at the dime. And Trish is like, no, I don't think it'll happen. I don't think it'll happen. I don't think it'll happen.
And how about then 1 week, what you get is you get a match. Say Shawn's wrestling one of the members of Evolution. And for some reason, Trish is on commentary. Maybe Trish was doing a little bit of guest commentary for the night, or for some reason, Trish is at ringside. Maybe she was guest ring announcer.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And during the match, Shawn's wrestling, it might be Orton, it might be Batista, like someone on Evolution, and the rest of Evolution come to ringside and they start getting in Trish's face, and Trish sort of backs up, and Trish ends up in the ring surrounded by all 4 members of Evolution, and JR is on commentary. They can't do this. This is wrong. And Jericho runs out to essentially help her and Shawn. And that's the moment where Shawn's like, I'll accept him onto the team. But they're still not willing, they're still not convinced that this might not still be a ploy of Evolution to get them in the match.
Right. No, that's exactly it. And Goldberg goes to Shawn and goes, listen, I'm leaving this up to you. All right. We need a guy. And I'm not going to question Chris's ability. We all know the ability. It's his methods or his agenda kind of thing. And so I like that. So we spend the next few Raws, Jericho trying to, and Trish tells him, Chris, you've got to prove to these guys, all right? Do you really want to be on an island and have nobody on this show like you? Sometimes Shawn, Trish keeps telling him, sometimes, Chris, you need friends. And Christian's your friend? Really? He only cares about one thing, the Intercontinental title, and we'll get to that in a minute. He doesn't care about, he thinks he cares about you, but all he cares about is the gold around his waist. So you have to decide, Chris. These guys are giving you an opportunity. Don't blow it. And we go from there,
Yeah. And I think that lays a good foundation for bringing Jericho into the team. Yep. So and you're going to start this build. You're going to start this build like the first couple of episodes after Unforgiven. You want to give the good build. It needs a 2-month build. So you're going to be building slowly the storyline that around the need to help each other, and then I think where it comes to is they start talking about Survivor Series, and maybe we come to how do we get to War Games? We get our two GMs, like Austin's out there, like Austin is trying to, he books the match initially. He puts the teams together. He says it's going to be a team captained by Goldberg and a team captained by Triple H, and then Evolution. It slowly forms over the weeks, and when it's sort of like this will be a Survivor Series, the Survivor match, and then Bischoff comes out, and Bischoff's like, no, this needs something bigger. When I ran WCW, we had the match that you turned to when you were dealing with stuff. So you could lay that foundation of Bischoff's doing it as a one-upsmanship. But when he actually announces it, a lot of the guys are sort of like, there's that shock horror in their face of, we're going to go, you really, like, is this going too far? And, that's where someone like Dustin can say, look, I've been in one of these before, guys. I know the strategy we need. And so you've got varying other underlying storylines that happen. And obviously Flair can be saying to Evolution, when I was in the Horsemen, this was our match. And maybe even on an episode of Evolution, you've got, in the week or two before Survivor Series, you've got Evolution getting a strategy session from Arn Anderson. Like Rick brings Arn in to sort of like, you've got this backstage shot where Arn's telling them what to do to win a War Games match, because just tying in that history, and then you get to War Games, you get the big match. So I think this would be a good match. I think we've talked ourselves into a good storyline build to it.
I agree, actually. I actually agree very much. I think you're totally
and
right.
I think, like you said, the Booker element comes in, initially starts with Evolution. And you've got this, maybe even the Survivor Series match is when Austin announces it, it's Goldberg, Michaels, RVD, Dustin versus Evolution. That's where it stands. And then Bischoff ups the game and says, no, it's it's War Games, and it's 5-on-5. War Games, you fight with 5 men on each team. And that's where Jericho starts to put his hand up, and we get what we talked about with Jericho saving Trish and Shawn, and he, do they trust him? But that's that. And Evolution, obviously, there's Triple H and Booker don't 100% trust each other, but Booker's like, I want in. Maybe he just walks up to Hunter and Flair. I want in. I want Goldberg, and Triple H is like, okay, fine by me.
Yeah. Yep. And I think it's actually a pretty badass match, to be quite honest with you. It's actually pretty great.
All right, so let's try and quickly lay this out before we spend too much longer on this. So
sure.
I think War Games. I think Evolution would start with Randy Orton. I think Orton would start the match, and I think he'd start against Dustin Rhodes. I think storyline perspective, Dustin's got the history in the match. He can go, I've been in them before. I know what to do. So right. Dustin and Orton start the match. Okay. And then I think Booker T would be your next guy in. For the heels, the heels get the advantage. So I think Booker comes in next because they're the two guys that can go the longest. I think they're the best conditioned. When it gets to the babyface team, this is where you get the element of Jericho trying to prove himself to these guys and to Trish. And maybe it's supposed to be either RVD or Shawn is going to go in second for their team. But Jericho just races and jumps in the ring. Like he changes the order up without consulting anyone, but he just goes in. And so through the course of the match, he cops a pummeling, and that sort of earns Trish's admiration and his teammates' respect, that he's gone in to help. And that several times during the match, you could have elements where the heels are about to do something like they've got a chair, or Triple H has got his sledgehammer, and Jericho's the one who makes the save to stop that action from happening. So you can play in that. So Jericho, I think, goes in second. Then I think Hunter would go in next. Hunter goes in. Sean probably goes in third. Would you prefer to see RVD go in next?
I think RVD's good.
Yep. All
let
right.
the workhorse guys do the most. Let the stamina guys go the longest.
Yeah. So RVD goes in. Then you're sending in Batista, fourth for the heels. Sean goes in fourth for the baby faces. Flair goes out last, and when Flair goes out, he brings a bag of tricks. As he enters the ring, he's got brass knucks in his tights. He's got, he grabs a sledgehammer from under the ring and throws it in before he even enters the ring. So he just loads the ring up with gimmicks and weapons to sort of help out, which is where Jericho starts making saves. And then, of course, Goldberg goes in last, and Goldberg, he's spearing everyone to get control. But I think the victory comes when I look at this babyface team. I think the ultimate victory comes in that Jericho is the one who gets maybe Jericho puts in the walls of Jericho while the others are holding off, Triple H and Batista and Flair, or he puts Flair, because Flair's the older one, puts Flair in the walls of Jericho, and Flair's not going to last long, because Jericho's really the only one who's got a genuine submission hold. And I think that's where your victory comes, and sort of Jericho has proven himself to his teammates and to Trish. Trish comes in and Jericho could have blood on his face, but I've got this idea that Trish is at ringside. And so Jericho earns the victory and they're celebrating, and Trish runs in and throws her arms around him and kisses his, this bloody face. She kisses him on the cheek. And so you've got this look of Trish with blood all over, like her nose and her lips from where she's kissed Jericho.
That's funny.
As the baby faces celebrate.
I like that. Yeah. I do like that a lot. And that match there can lead us into breaking off stuff for Armageddon. So,
yes.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Okay, so we've got three Survivor matches. Brock Taker in the casket match. And then I want to pick a Raw guy for Christian. Whoever
so
we
want
used.
An Intercontinental title match.
Yeah, because I don't want Christian's not involved in the War Games, but he's gonna try to mess around with like Jericho. Like, these guys are scrubs. Don't help them, and stop letting Trish, pull you around by the what.
So looking at do we put Kane in the IC title match?
Well,
does Christian go up against Kane?
I guess we didn't turn Kane heel, huh?
No, we haven't.
Yeah, no, then it fits perfectly. Yeah.
Oh, hang on. No. We dealt with he's already faced Kane. He's already faced Kane and beaten him earlier in the year at Bad Blood. Faced Kane and Kane went mad.
That's right.
So he can't face Kane.
Who haven't we used on Raw?
Maybe this is where, and we've got guys that we haven't utilized. Maybe this is where we do something like, we've been talking about bringing guys up onto the roster. We've talked about guys that have come up onto the roster. What about Rob Conway? He doesn't have to be linked with La Resistance. Maybe Rob Conway has joined the roster
as a babyface.
As a babyface.
Sure. That's fine with me.
And that's something, again, similar to what we did with Matt Morgan. After SummerSlam, he comes on. or after Unforgiven, he makes his debut. He works his way through the roster. So either him or another option, someone who was certainly being used a bit more at this time, and we really haven't used a lot of since early in the year. Maven.
Oh, I like that actually. I could see that. Maybe as Raw has been going on, Maven pins Christian in a tag.
Yeah.
And Bischoff decides, you know what? I'll give the little shit a match. So
I think Austin would put him in the match.
Well, that's right, because we still have they're still the co-GMs because we've decided that Austin being the sheriff is stupid. So we're not getting rid of that. So Austin decides Maven is getting the IC title shot.
So that's 2 Raw matches. I'm thinking the third match we keep our women's roster going, and we need a women's title match.
Well, who's our champion?
Oh, Trish. Let's go back to Molly. Molly wrestled Gail Kim. Molly held the title last, so Molly beat Trish at SummerSlam.
Okay, so Trish is just at ringside. Do we do a Molly Trish rematch? I don't think we have enough women for a women's Survivor. Unless you do a crossover, unless you do like SmackDown women versus Raw women.
No, I don't think that'd work either. I think you could do Trish earlier in the night, could have her rematch, but not win. And maybe Christian costs her the win to sort of play up a bit more on what you were talking about the whole storyline with that might actually work. Very early in the show, Molly defends the title against Trish.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a different match, but if you want to give Trish a rematch, and then does Molly keep it?
Yeah, Molly wins when Christian interferes, because we've got this storyline. So Jericho's not at ringside. Jericho's preparing for War Games, and this might even and Christian actually interferes in the match and costs Trish the match. And and this, it comes back to this ongoing storyline where Trish is saying, you can't trust Christian. And Christian has cost Trish the match because he feels that Trish is turning Jericho away from him.
Yes.
So that's what the storyline's being put as what he's saying. What we know is, as we said, Christian's only out for himself, but he doesn't want. But it's sort of like this is all to get at Jericho. He costs Trish the match.
Okay. And there we go. We have 6 matches, 3 Raw, 3 SmackDown. We have the big SmackDown Survivor match. We have a Raw War Games Survivor match, which is not a Survivor match, but a War Games. IC title, women's title, a Cruiserweight Survivor match, and then Brock and Undertaker in a casket match. And I'm looking at you maneuvering our document here. I'm going to guess you like the War Games match last.
I think War Games would need to go on last. Yeah, I
agree, because it'd be the first War Games. That's a big freaking deal. It's the first War Games in WWE history. So, and it's got. And I love it. I love this team, and I love this. I just love this crew.
And I think because we've had Undertaker get put inside the casket by heel Brock, you want to send the crowd home happy.
Right.
The good guys win War Games to finish the night.
Yep. And we have 3 heel wins and 3 babyface wins. Well, actually, no. We have 4 heel wins, because we have Tajiri wins the Cruiserweight Survivor match. Christian retains the IC belt. Molly, and then Brock. So, actually, the only 2 babyface wins are the 2 big brand Survivor matches.
I think that works.
I think it works great.
I think it works because it's the War Games match, and that's such a big match.
It's
for the
huge.
First time,
It's huge, Dave. First time in WWE history in our parallel universe through this amazing looking glass, we get War Games finally. So, all right, we are finally, and I hope you've been enjoying this series, folks, because these are some of the longest episodes Dave and I will ever do. Our other episodes never go this long, but Dave's done an awesome job and of us putting this together. So, as we reach our final show of 2003, we go to Fort Lauderdale, Florida for Armageddon, which is Raw. So let's jump right in.
So we said that the War Games match is probably going to build a few of our matches around for Armageddon.
Right.
So I think we need to start with our world title.
Yes. What do we do with Goldberg?
So I think War Games is essentially going to finish Goldberg's involvement with Evolution. I think Hunter, he's lost the title, he lost the rematch on Raw, and they lose War Games. So I think he's done with Evolution. Goldberg needs to be moved on from Evolution. So there's two options I'm looking at from where we talked about. And because we just referenced something that I'd forgotten we'd done, I do have it. My first thought was, are we stuck into a Booker T rematch? Which I do want one at some point, but I'm not sure Armageddon is the place to do it. And I'll explain why in a minute. Which means I'm wondering if perhaps Goldberg defends his title against Kane, Crazy Kane.
Okay. I mean, that's going to be a big lumbering Haas fest. Yeah.
Because Kane's gone heel. We haven't done a lot with him on the major shows since he's gone heel, but that doesn't mean there wouldn't have been a lot happening on Raw.
Show.
And I think on Raw he's gone crazy. He's beating everyone up. He's pummeling someone. And perhaps in the weeks like just after War Games, maybe because Jericho earned the win in the War Games match, maybe Bischoff makes a number one contender match, being Jericho versus Kane. And this is where Kane beats him, plus some help from what we'll talk about for Jericho in a moment. I've got an idea for Jericho now. But Kane basically gets the win in the number one contenders match, earns the shot at Armageddon. He faces Goldberg, but Goldberg gets the win.
Yeah, of course.
Now the reason, so what we need to be talking about obviously is we also have, while this is where we're finishing, we obviously have some other journeys that the company would be looking at. We'd be looking at what's your build for WrestleMania and where are you going. I don't picture Goldberg being world champion at WrestleMania. We already mentioned that we're going to start the Brock Lesnar Goldberg thing.
Uh-huh.
And I think what I would have happen is Brock Lesnar at Royal Rumble. I want Goldberg as champion going to Royal Rumble, because I believe at Royal Rumble, Brock Lesnar is going to cost Goldberg the title. He's going to interfere in Goldberg's title match, which then sets up their match at
WrestleMania, right.
And what I would do is, I think because we've moved Triple H out of the title picture for the moment, I don't want to put him back in just yet. I think the one guy that we've built as a heel that I think deserves a title run, and going from Royal Rumble to WrestleMania could be a run where he could hold the title for a couple of months, and then it would be acceptable for him to lose it to someone who might have won the Royal Rumble, and it's Booker T. I think what you do is you have Goldberg versus Booker T at Royal Rumble. Brock costs Goldberg the match. Booker wins the title there. He goes to WrestleMania, defends the title at WrestleMania against probably your Royal Rumble winner or someone who's going to be elevated out of the Rumble. So, which means that I think Booker's got to have a strong victory on this card. And with what we've built and who Booker has already faced, I've got two options for Booker.
Okay, I've got one too. Maybe yours. Maybe mine is one of yours.
It might be. So one option for me is he faces Shawn Michaels.
Okay.
Shawn being a top guy.
Yep.
A second alternative is a guy who we've actually done a lot of work building up this year into the War Games match, and that'd be Dustin.
Neither of those were my choice.
Okay. So what's your option?
I was thinking, if we're looking for, say, a number one contender match, I was thinking Jericho and Christian costs him.
That's yeah. Look, and that would work from the storyline perspective. I can see that. I had another idea for Jericho, so
Okay.
I'll throw it out now
Okay.
because I think this will determine where we go.
Okay, sure.
The other idea I had for Jericho was that he faces Triple H because we need something for Triple H. And Hunter could be furious. Hunter could be furious that it was Jericho who got the win. Jericho forced Flair to tap out, and Hunter he's turned his sights on Jericho. It's taken his eyes off the title.
He's out of his we could just say that that Triple H is just out of his fucking mind right now. Like he hates not being champion. He's not a number one contender. Bullying Bischoff's not working anymore. You know, he just got humiliated by we can even say he's almost pissed off at Evolution because we choked it. He's pissed off at Flair because Flair tapped out at War Games. Like literally Triple H is unhinged right now, you know?
Yeah. He's unhinged because he's not the top dog anymore, and he's losing. He's not even going to get a shot at the title now. He's lost that chance. They've lost the match.
Re-earn it.
He's ticked off at Flair, but but really who he's ticked off is at Jericho. Like Flair's able to turn it, and you know, so he because Evolution is a tight knit unit, I think. But
we can even do something stupid. Listen to this. Tell me this. I know this sounds dumb, Dave, but it just popped in my head. I want to do it. This is my guy, so indulge me. I think it'd be funny if, like, on an episode of Raw, I don't want to say booking sheet, but like Triple H goes to Bischoff and says, "So I need someone to kick their ass. I need to kick someone's ass next week. Who do you got for me? I can't take this. Give me anybody. I just want to destroy them." And Bischoff goes, "Well, I'll give you Maven." And he goes, "You want me to wrestle Maven on Raw?" And Bischoff goes, "No, you've been in kind of a slump, Triple H. You're going to have to wrestle Maven on Heat." But I think that's going too far. That's almost illogically. That's almost unrealistic. Even for our looking class, that would never happen. Anyway, I just wanted to say that out loud because I thought it was funny.
That's funny.
Could you imagine he gets demoted to you have to wrestle on Velocity or Afterburn?
See, this is where it might not be Bischoff, but that's something I could see GM Austin doing though.
Yes, I keep forgetting that we didn't break them up. You're right.
Like Austin's sitting there going, "What do you mean? You're not wrestling tonight? I've got you booked for Sunday Night Heat next week
against Maven."
Against Maven, and so Triple H goes out, beats Maven in about 25 seconds.
Exactly.
Right, it turns up on Raw the next night. Yeah, and Austin puts him in something else, but this whole thing, it's about. But in the end, Triple H he's just, and it's Bischoff who gives him Jericho. Triple H is like, you know, like you said, he's ticked off at Flair and Evolution for losing, but then he realizes that it wasn't their fault. The person who he really wants to lay the blame on is Jericho, and Bischoff gives him Jericho at Armageddon, and they face each other at Armageddon. And like you said, Christian can actually maybe Austin bans Evolution from ringside. Even early in the match, Flair interfered, tripping him over and all that, and the referee is trying to, orders Flair away, and Flair doesn't want to go, and the other two members of Evolution come out, and Austin comes down and goes, "Nah, all three of you are gone. If you interfere in this match, you're all going to be suspended." And so or it might even happen the week before. Maybe it happens they're attacking him on Raw, and Austin says, if any of you interfere in this match, you are suspended. Evolution are banned from ringside. And so as a result, you're thinking, oh, one-on-one, Jericho's got momentum. Jericho could be getting the upper hand. And Christian comes out of the crowd. Christian's got a hoodie on. He comes out of the crowd. The ref's down. Christian attacks Jericho. Triple H gets the win.
And then while Jericho's down, just for good measure, he pedigrees Trish.
Oh, yes. I love it. And Christian actually throws Trish
into the ring.
Triple H.
Right.
Yeah, like she's backing off and Christian forces her into the ring, and then Hunter, I love it. That's great.
Yeah. Like right now, Hunter is just completely out of his gourd right now. You know, Austin's not letting me manipulate the system. I can't have a title. I can't just get title shots whenever I want. Like, this is my show. Why am I not being able to do whatever I want? Austin's like, because you suck. That's what he should say. Like, because honestly, you suck.
Yes.
You haven't won a match. You haven't won a pay-per-view match in months, son. And Triple H just can't. He just can't handle it.
Yeah,
I love it. We had said, Dave, that it was going to be difficult, but I feel like we always find a way, and we have found a way to make find something for Triple H to do that doesn't involve the world title. I love it. I love it.
So that brings us back. I think that means that Booker T could face Dustin, not as an official number one contenders match, but he faces Dustin, beats him clean.
Okay. I have a triple threat match. So that match is set then. Put that match there.
Yep.
How about this? Because I like this because there's one thing that did happen at Armageddon that I want to happen here, but because the guy that I need as champion isn't, I have to do it a little different.
Okay.
A triple threat match for the Intercontinental title. Christian, Shawn, and Orton.
Oh, I like that.
Orton pins Shawn to win the title.
I like that.
I think Orton needs to be champion. You get my drift?
Yes.
Yeah. Because Christian and Shawn have already had a couple of matches together. A third match isn't going to hurt. Plus, it's going to make for good wrestling, obviously. And we need Orton needs to be champion. Because that's one storyline. If we were going into 04, which we're not, but if we were going into 04, I'd want to, and maybe you make Mick Foley the guest ref, and that starts there.
I like so build. What Mick
because the Mick Orton stuff needs to happen because I'm watching it now, and that stuff is amazing.
I like that. So in the build, like you've got Christian trying to prove he thinks he's the greatest, and maybe Austin starts this match starts, Orton and Shawn pick up coming out of War Games. Maybe you had a couple of elements in War Games. Maybe Orton at some point in War Games hit Shawn with an RKO, and not just that, but like he ended up busting Shawn open. So Orton comes out of War Games with, we might have lost, but look what I did to you, Shawn. Shawn turns up on Raw and he's got the bandages on and all that, and so Orton is sort of targeting Shawn coming out of Armageddon, but then you've got Shawn's eyes are on Christian, and Shawn wants the IC title rematch against Christian, which because we had that earlier in the year, he lost that match at was that our Unforgiven? When did Shawn and Christian? Yeah, that was that ladder match at Unforgiven.
Match, yeah. They had a singles match at SummerSlam that ended in a schmaz, and then they had the ladder match at Unforgiven. Yeah.
So ever since then, Christian has been laying it in on Shawn. I beat you in the ladder match. I'm the greatest. I'm the best. So Shawn's sort of like, I want you, and Orton wants Shawn, and Austin just goes three-way. and they booked the 3-way title match. And then over the next couple of weeks, you can have various variations on Raw. They face each other in non-title. So Christian meets Shawn in a non-title match. Orton meets Shawn in a non-title match. And in every match, the referee gets knocked out and the match ends in like a double DQ or a double count-out. The referees cannot control the match.
Right.
So every time any one of these three face each other, the referees can't control it. And then Austin announces, the week before, this 3-way match, my referee, maybe he has a couple of the referees there. He has the referees out in the ring. You guys, I'm disappointed. None of you can control these guys. And so none of you are going to be refereeing the Intercontinental title match at Armageddon this week. I've gone and hired a special referee just for this match.
Right.
And then the tires screech, Mick Foley comes out, the crowd go nuts.
Yep.
And Orton, like you said, Orton pins Shawn for the win. Mick plays it right down the middle, and maybe a couple of times in the match, Orton gets near falls and is sort of annoyed that Foley hasn't counted it down.
Right.
But Orton gets the win over Shawn, and that also can start the launch of the Legend Killer. I beat the Legend Shawn Michaels. I pinned him 1, 2, 3. That makes me the Legend Killer.
Right.
And then over the next few weeks, you can have him beat some other legends, other top legends in the company to sort of build that up. And the Foley element was just maybe a couple of times in the match, Foley and Orton get into shoving, push and shove. Oh, Orton and Foley get into push and shove. And so when Orton has Shawn pinned, there's the thought of, is Foley actually going to count the pin? And it's a little bit slower, but he does count the win. And then maybe he refuses to, maybe he just leaves. He gets out and leaves and refuses to raise Orton's hand. So Orton's annoyance at Foley is, you didn't raise my hand when I won the match. Yes, you didn't respect me. You didn't raise, and even maybe the next night on Raw, he does that beatdown. You didn't respect me. I want him out here now. Mick, come out here and raise my hand.
Yep.
And give me my title or raise my hand. And Foley won't do it, and it does. You get the beatdown.
Beatdown, the spit in the face. You can put all that in one big thing, and then the build goes on, because that real storyline in the Prime universe was awesome, and I'm watching the build for it now in one of my Chrono watches. So I'm totally cool with that.
All right.
So
that gives us that. So and that puts Orton on top of the IC division.
Yep.
So I want to raise a question. Do we want to consider what they did in the Prime universe, and do we want to really put Evolution over? And this would help impact more this Triple H mindset, and have Flair and Batista win the tag titles. And so Hunter's the only one without a title.
Right. Yes. So why don't we just take the gauntlet? Well, who's got the belts right now?
La Resistance have got ours.
Yeah, so
we could just have a 4-way. We don't necessarily have to have a gauntlet, but we could have La Res, we can have the Dudleys, we can have Batista and
Flair.
Flair
and Cade and Jindrak.
Yeah. Just a 4-way.
Just a straight up 4-way. Yep.
Yeah. I'm not putting these in any particular order yet. So 4-way tag match for tag titles. La Resistance versus Dudleys versus Jade and Jindrak versus Batista and Flair. And this and the match, like, I reckon what you do is Flair barely gets in the match. I reckon Flair spends half the match. When he gets in, it's always straight out cheating, like, funny Flair stuff. You eliminate Jade and Jindrak early, and then I think Batista. I think you make Batista the star of this match. So early on, La Rez and the Dudleys start fighting. Jade and Jindrak get involved, and Batista and Flair are just watching. And then finally, Batista tags in, and he just absolutely, destroys Garrison Cade or Mark, destroys one of them and gets the pin straight up. And then he just tags straight out, just walks over to one of like La Resistance or the Dudleys and just tags out. Like, I'm done. I'm out of here. And he tags out and they start battling each other again. And then Flair and Batista start like blind tagging in. Like Flair will blind tag in and come in on low blow and, go to the eyes, and Batista and essentially Batista, then La Rez I think Batista just comes in. He lays waste to La Resistance, and then he lays waste to the Dudleys. And you make Batista the real star of that match. He gets every pin to eliminate the opposition. And Flair's clearly just riding the coattails. Like, does very little. What he does is always fun to watch, but it's all about making Batista the man.
Right. Exactly. I love the possibility that Triple H is beltless and he's like losing his mind, and Austin could totally like mess with his mind. Like, Triple H is like, oh, I want to, Rick, I want to be tag team champion with Batista. Batista says, I want to be tag, and Austin goes, sorry, no Freebird rule.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he goes, or they go to Bischoff. Flair's sick tonight, so I'm gonna defend the titles with Dave, and it's Austin, and Bischoff's like, yep, no worries, I'm happy with that, and Austin's like, where's the doctor's certificate? No doctor, nope, Flair's in the match. You can't do it. Like you said, no Freebird rule, no
Freebird rule.
And you can build it like that. That could build your storyline. Not that we, to carry it out. Over the next few weeks, Triple H, it's all about what do I need to do to get a shot at the title? So clearly, what he has to do is he has to enter the Rumble. Now, I'm not saying Triple H wins the Rumble, but you've got this big focus on Hunter's storyline is he's in the Rumble to win it, and then whoever eliminates Triple H from the Royal Rumble, there's your WrestleMania match. It could be someone from SmackDown. It could be John Cena. Like we've been building John Cena up, or it could, you know what I'm saying? And so Hunter gets eliminated at the Royal Rumble, and now he's absolutely, whoever it is that's eliminated him, that's like he's out of his mind even more because he's just lost his shot at getting the world title back.
Right.
And so that person is on his radar, and that could be you build someone like a John Cena, or you make it like you make it cross, it could be cross culture, it could be that whether it be a Benoit, or it depends on who you have winning your Royal Rumble, and we're not booking that today. So it might be that Triple H is the last man eliminated by whoever wins the Rumble. I don't know.
Right.
But it's just that idea of it sends him into an even bigger tailspin.
Absolutely. I'm liking this crazy unhinged Triple H. This is fantastic. He starts looking all disheveled. It's kind of like the storyline in WCW when DDP lost the lottery ticket and his like tights were falling apart and everything. Triple H would start like, not shaving, but not like his usual good beard. His hair looks all messed up. He's got his tights on backwards. Like he becomes a complete mess. I think that's amazing.
And maybe like you could take like Hunter's hell bent on he wants he's got the showing. So when they do you could use one of the storyline elements they've done before, but you change it a little bit. Hunter picks his number, and he's really happy with his number. Eddie comes in and picks his number. We don't know what Eddie doesn't have to do the disappointed look, but what he does is he tries to steal Hunter's number, and Hunter, maybe even catches him in the act. And Triple H's Hunter's like, Eddie's like, no, just I'm not doing anything. I'm wishing you all the best, and runs out really quickly because he doesn't want to get come by Hunter. So, we've had some fun there. Okay.
I can't believe we made this. We made Hunter like an absolute crazy. Like he's like, oh, this is amazing. We did it,
All right.
Dave. We did it. We actually
Okay.
we got
did.
it.
We did. All right. So
all right,
a couple of other matches to finish off. We need RVD needs a match, and we need a women's title match. They're two key matches.
Yeah. So Molly. How about
Lita? I reckon Lita would be back by now, wouldn't she?
Oh yeah, Lita's around.
I reckon Molly and Lita.
Okay, Molly and Lita. How about a number one contenders? Because I love those. Jazz. Because I think she's back by then. Is she back from injury? I think she is. Jazz, Victoria, Gail Kim in a three-way for number one contender for the women's title, and Victoria wins.
Title shot at Royal Rumble.
Yeah, at the Rumble.
Yeah. So the winner of that match is the number one contender. They get their title shot at the Royal Rumble. Yep, I like that. And so really we're just left with, I think with where we've gone, we need a match for RVD. Is that maybe where we come back with what we were talking about before? This is where you bring in like a Rob Conway, and RVD beats Conway, puts on a good match, but gets beaten one-on-one.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's the only guy really. That's really the only guy left for us to. There's really nobody left. I think we've used everybody.
Used everyone we've been building and working with. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the only other guy I could think of, I mean, if you want to do it, would be Test. We really used Test much, I feel like.
I don't think we need to worry about him too much.
Don't you love Dave's charismatic passive aggressiveness?
I think he failed the test. So. Yes,
he did. Test. He failed the test.
So let's have a look at this card, because we just need to put these in a way that's gonna. So who did we say is winning the women's three-way?
Victoria.
And is Victoria a baby face now? If she's going to be facing Holly?
Yeah, okay. she's becoming a face. She's got the bang. She's smiling more. She's looking a little cuter. Stevie Richards has kind of turned face too.
All right. So what I would do then, I think we start with. So we go through this card. We put it together. I think we start with RVD versus Rob Conway. RVD is going to get the crowd excited. He's going to win clean. It's going to be a nice little match, and then it's done. Then I think you've got we've got a lot of heels going over on this night.
It's all right.
Then I think
in the Prime Universe, in the Prime Universe Armageddon, all the heels got over. So
yeah. Then I think you do the four-way tag match. I think you get the Batista Flair moment out of the way.
Yep.
And yeah, because in the back they can be celebrating and Hunter walks in, and it's sort of like, and he's happy for them. All right, but they get the win. Then you've got your women's number one contender match. Victoria wins. Then you do your three-way IC title match, and Randy wins that. And you have and then you can go backstage, and Flair and Orton and Batista are all celebrating, and Hunter walks in the room again, and there's the look on his face is just, you can see the anger and annoyance. Not that he's happy for them, but it's building even more. This whole everyone's got a title and I don't have a title now. But then he congratulates Randy, and you can just hear, and he mutters something, now we just need one more belt to finish the set, or something like that, and it goes from there. Booker beats Dustin Rhodes in a good match. Then we've got our women's title match. Molly Holly retains against Lita. Then we have Triple H versus Chris Jericho with Evolution banned from ringside. And Triple H wins after Christian interferes coming in from the crowd. And then post-match, Christian throws Trish Stratus, who is accompanied Jericho to ringside, throws Trish into the ring, and Hunter pedigrees her. And then our main event, Goldberg defends his world title, successfully beating Kane in a match that's only going to be a few minutes long.
Yeah, 8-9 minutes. Maybe give him 10 because it is the main event. Give him 10 because Triple H Jericho could go like 25.
Yeah.
And some of these other matches could go like Christian, Shawn, and Orton could go a good 22, 23. Give them the shine and give Goldberg and Kane a good like 8-9 minute sprint. Well, for them a sprint. I guess for them a sprint. Great card.
There we have it.
Great card.
What a year.
What a year.
What a year.
All right, so we're going to read the whole thing over. No, we're not. We should probably. I wish we could find a way to make this pretty and then put it like up on the Place to Be page or something. I'll have to think about that. Again, if you want to listen to this in full, if you want to listen to the whole marathon, go to. If you're listening to this show by the time this episode has made our Place to Be Wrestling Network YouTube page, you could make a little playlist. You could put the first episode, which was in July, which was the Royal Rumble, No Way Out, and WrestleMania 19. Then September, not August, although August was our awesome Hulk Hogan tribute episode. Please listen to that. Part 2, which was Backlash, Judgment Day, and Bad Blood, was from September. And then last month was Vengeance, SummerSlam, and Unforgiven. And then right here you have these 3 episodes. So, obviously, if you're listening to this, you've probably listened to the 3, but make a little playlist and then listen to them all in order because it's a good, oh my God, 11 hours in a row, probably 11 hours of Dave and I talking. It's pretty great. So there you have it, folks. There is our journey. We've reached back home, Dave, after a 4-month journey. I think it was awesome.
It was.
Maybe this is something we'll do next year, 2026. Maybe you and I could find another year, another era in time. Maybe, Dave, I got an idea. We got a couple of ideas. And listen, give us some ideas, folks, on our Place to Be Facebook page. Give us some ideas on what, or, on our Podbean page where we do comments after, even on the YouTube channel. If you're listening to this on YouTube, in the comments, give us another year or promotion that you'd like us to do again, to do another one of these projects. Maybe, Dave, we could do like an 80s year and just do 12 MSG house shows. Maybe 84 maybe. WWF,
Yeah.
Or 71. We can have a bunch of Ivan Koloff title matches. Could you imagine? Maybe we
Bruno Who's this Bruno guy? Job him out.
Job him out. We need more Baron Mikel Cicluna. No, we could have like some, I don't know, we could do like maybe 85 Crockett, well, there's not enough house shows, but I don't know. We'll think of something. Anyway, give us your thoughts. Either on our Place to Be Facebook page or on our YouTube comments.
Absolutely. Even one of like the late 80s, early 90s, Clash and pay-per-views sort of mixed over a WCW year, or Saturday night's main event and the big 4. We could. There's all sorts of options available.
Yeah. So think about it, please. Dave, always a pleasure. You can listen to Dave. Dave's one of the few people that can successfully cross over the wall. He walks across the quad of pods all the time. You hear him on the No-So. He's over on Cronoso. Where are you guys right now? What are you up to right now?
We have just posted the Royal Rumble 1991. So get on there and enjoy that. We've got our different way, our Cronoso unique way of doing the Rumble match. So jump on, have a listen to that. That dropped last week. And so we are going to start the build moving forward towards WrestleMania 7.
Nice. Speaking of Matt Farrell's, and speaking of Matt Farrell's Ruthless show, By the time you hear this, I'm wondering if my episode. I know you recorded one tonight. I know you recorded one before we went on the air with Matt. That's going to air a little bit down the line. Him and I did. I was on his show for an episode. We did Unforgiven 2003. I don't know if that's dropped yet. It may have dropped by the time this airs later. By the time you're listening to this, that episode may have dropped because I know he was close. If not, it'll be soon. Matt's doing a great job kind of redoing the Ruthless Aggression podcast that Jacob Williams started. Jacob, he's just Mr. Dad now. Love Jake. Matt has done a great job, I have to say. You've done 2 episodes with him now, right, Dave?
I have really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I know I did. We did Unforgiven 03. I don't know if it dropped by now. Hope I'm not spoiling anything. Sorry, Maddie. But it's coming up soon. Next month, our final Through the Looking Glass, episode 51. Our final Through the Looking Glass of 2025. We're going to do a mailbag. So on the Place to Be Facebook page, you're going to see me. I'm going to put up a post. Give Dave and I. We'll do a considerably shorter episode. We promise. Give us your questions. Anything you want us to rebook? What would you do here? Fix this. In another world, would this happen? Yada, things like that. And we'll take 4 or 5 questions, and maybe we'll do a good hour 15. Nice quickie episode for the holiday season. We know you're all very busy.
Just little short booking options. We're not going to book a year out and.
Oh no! Don't get If you give us
anybody.
I know exactly. If you give us that option, like if you say, "Hey guys, can you, guys, quick 2-minute question, rebook 1989 WCW." That's not a 6-minute question, but that could be an idea for next year for long form, though. So don't give up on those. So give us. We're asking for 2 things from all of you. Give us some mailbag questions, nice quickie questions for our December episode, and give us some ideas for our next multi-month journey. Whether it be, like Dave said, late 80s, early 90s WCW. How about mid-80s WWF? Maybe we don't have Hulk Hogan win the world title. Maybe we do a mega show at Yankee Stadium in the summer of '84. Something funky. So who knows? Something fun. What if ECW didn't lose all their guys? Well, we can't do that because that's crazy. What if you guys invented money and Paul didn't go broke? It's like, what if the checks didn't bounce? It's like, I don't know. So anyway, have a wonderful Thanksgiving, everybody. Dave, you as well, you and your family. Everybody have a blast, and we will talk to you for episode 51 in the final journey of the year through the Looking Glass.